Dear listeners, before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsors DW, Deutsche Welle. In a country like ours, the pressure from our parents and those around us can often affect our decisions. Our dreams can often take a back seat. Though there are a few among us who dare to ask, what if I followed my dreams instead? Tune into the second season of DW's show, Choices, Dare to Dream, where 6 individuals meet their role models and turn their dream into reality. Like Avanti, an architect who turns to Pooja Dhingra to become a pastry chef. Or Satvik, who balances his social media career with his dreams of becoming a magician with the help of Karan Singh. To know if Satvik and Avanti could turn their dreams into reality, click on the link in the description to watch DW Choices, currently streaming on JioCinema. Don't miss out and remember, dare to dream. Now on with the show. In this episode, we talk about the work that won 3 scientists the Nobel Prize in Physics. We also talk about rats taking over the city of Kolkata. But first, we talk about India's performance at the Asian Games. Hi, I'm Rahil Philippos and you are listening to 3 Things, the Indian Express News Show. Over the past 12 days, India has won 86 medals in this 19th edition of the Asian Games, which are being held in the Chinese city of Hangzhou. And among these medals, the Indian contingent has managed to bag 21 gold medals in various sports, including javelin, archery, and track and field. And these wins have seen Indian athletes outperforming their performance in the previous Asian Games. However, amidst this series of medals, a controversy has arisen. China has allegedly been attempting to deprive India of some of its medals. To know more about this controversy and India's performance, my colleague Uchas Sadmin joins Amit Kamath in this segment.
So Amit, let's start with this controversy. Can you tell us why people are talking about China trying to cheat us out of medals?
I mean, it's a direct, quote from Anju Bobby George, who is a track and field legend. And when she said this, India had reason to be angry because what had happened is Neeraj Chopra was competing in the men's javelin throw final and something very, very strange happened, like something that not anybody has ever seen probably in track and field, including Neeraj Chopra, as he admitted later. So what happened is he comes out, he has his first throw, and we are all waiting for the mark to show up, how much distance he's thrown. On the TV, we can see he's easily crossed 85, so it should have been around 87 maybe or 88 even meters. After a considerable wait, almost 10 minutes or something, we see visuals of Neeraj Chopra actually standing near the official's desk and having a conversation with them, trying to understand what has gone wrong. Later, we find out that apparently the officials had not measured his throw, which is bizarre. And apparently another thrower had already thrown before they could measure it. So they lost track of where Neeraj's javelin had landed. So they told Neeraj that they were giving him another additional throw and he could go ahead and throw again. Now, that was one incident. In the same javelin throw event, there was also this incident where Kishore Kumar Jeena, the Indian javelin thrower who finished with a silver medal just behind Neeraj, he throws his second throw and the official red flags him, saying that he has stepped over the line while doing it. And while he was throwing also, we could see in the frame that he's clearly not overstepped the line. So he's confused. He's trying to go back. Then Neeraj intervenes and tells him to go talk to the officials again. When he talks to the official and looks at the screen, they realize that he has not actually crossed the line. Then he gets his number reinstated. Now, those 2 incidents happened in the same event. Thankfully, Neeraj won a gold, Kishore Kumar Jeena won a silver. So eventually, at the end of the day, no harm, no foul done.
And did we see similar instances taking place in other sports as well?
So there was a 100-meter hurdles race where one of India's top prospects to win a medal, Jyoti Yaraji, was competing in the finals. And in the lane next to her, there's a hurdler called Yani Wu, who is, they call her the Chinese goddess of track and field and all of that, because she was heavily favored to win a gold medal at the event. And before the race gun goes off, Yani Wu makes a false start and it forces Jyoti Yaraji, who's in the next lane to her, on her right, to react. Now, when that happens, there's a false start. So the rules say that whichever is the athlete who's taken their hands off the ground first and starts running, they are supposed to be disqualified from the race. But surprisingly, they suddenly walk up to Jyoti and tell her that she is going to be disqualified for a false start. So that became a bit of a controversy. And eventually the officials came to the conclusion that both of you go on, continue and race. And you will race under protest, but then later, after the race gets over, we will figure out who was at fault and we will kick them out. Now that became a weird thing because see, Yani Wu was already favored to win. If she had been kicked out for the false start rightly so, then Jyoti would have had that additional, mental edge. But the problem was Jyoti herself was thoda sa imbalanced by the fact that this had happened to her, that they were threatening to debar her and her medal was still under question. Despite that, Jyoti went on to finish third. Yani Wu was second. Another Chinese woman was first. After the race, they debarred Yani Wu for the false start correctly, and Jyoti was upgraded to a silver medal. So, I mean, there is something that has been off. And what is most surprising is that like all through the games, China has been flaunting their technology and all of that, right? So it's a kind of comical thing that the officials are not able to even count, the distance of Neeraj's throw when you are flaunting technology like robot dogs which can carry javelins back to the throwers. So thoda sa weird there. I have to point out that the officials are the Athletics Asia wala officials. They are not all Chinese. So we don't exactly know if there is a conspiracy theory, but then the Indians are rightly very, very angry about this whole series of events.
And speaking about medals, we understand that this is India's record haul in medals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been one of those path-breaking additions for India at the Asian Games because 5 years ago at Jakarta, the Indian contingent had come back with a record medal haul of 70 overall medals and 16 gold medals. India had ambitions to win 100 gold medals. So we are still good 14 medals away from that this time around, but we've already crossed our record haul at the Asiad. Like, we are recording this on Thursday evening where a couple of events are still left, but India has already crossed 21 gold medals and 86 overall medals, meaning India has already won 5 more gold medals than its previous record at an Asian Games, and India has won 86 medals, which is 16 more medals than we had at the previous edition, Jakarta 2018, which was a record previously. So it's been an incredible edition, an incredible campaign by the Indian athletes.
Right, and can you tell us about how our athletes have performed and which sports have done well in the games?
So we've had unexpected medals from the roller skaters. The dressage riders have been incredible. They won us a gold medal in the team event, and one of them, Anush Agarwala, went on to win another medal in the individual event. Besides that, we've had Aditi Ashok winning a medal to make up for that heartbreak that she had at the Tokyo Olympics. So there is that. The compound archers have been incredible. They've been winning gold medals left, right, center. Just today they've won more than one medal. Besides that, the squash men's team won us a gold medal. Then Deepika Pallikal Karthik combined with Harinder Singh Pal Sandhu to win another gold medal. Like, incredible success stories coming in from Asiad. And I mean, we're not even done yet. We have 2 more full days of competition to go. The closing ceremony then on Sunday. So in the next 3 days, I mean, we are chasing 14 more medals and maybe 4 gold medals at least to have a nice little round figure, 25 gold medals and 100 overall medals. So if that happens, it will be the first time that India has gone into the 3-figure mark at the Asian Games, which is, I mean, it would be commendable.
And what about the athletes who had won medals in the Tokyo Olympics? How have they performed in the Asian Games?
Great. When we talk about the Tokyo Olympics medalist, obviously Neeraj Chopra has gone ahead and won the Asian Games gold. And as he pointed out, it's the first big title that he has retained. Remember, he was an Asian Games gold medalist, World Championship gold medalist, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and Olympic gold medalist. But this is the first real title that he has won the second time. Besides that, you look at somebody like PV Sindhu. She's just lost today in the quarterfinals. A very heartbreaking defeat for a player of Sindhu's caliber. But so if you guys are listening to this, you guys should check out a story that my colleague Mihir Vasavda has done where he's spoken to PV Sindhu right after she lost to China's Yi Bingjiao today in the quarters. And like PV Sindhu has bared her heart out in that Q&A. I mean, for Sindhu, a medal basically at every event was kind of granted. This is the first real big ticket event that she's not medaling in. So that's a bit of a heartbreak. Speaking of heartbreaks, there was also one for Mirabai Chanu who, tried to medal and pushed herself way too much and eventually ended up injuring herself. We are still to find out what is the status of her injury, and we are still waiting for a couple of them to finish. So we'll find out what happens to them later on. Lovelina Borgohain obviously has gone ahead and won a medal. She was also one of those who had won a medal at Tokyo. So there is that. Ravi Dahiya obviously didn't participate because he's injured.
And Amit, is there any sport where you have felt that the athletes did not perform as per the expectations?
Well, as far as disappointments is concerned, I don't think we have a sport in particular where, we've had widespread, underachievements. There have been one or two athletes from every sport who've maybe not been able to live up to expectations that maybe the fans had or analysts had. You can take a look at Sindhu. And I'm only talking about Sindhu because she has set such exalted standards. Other than that, I guess you can take a look at maybe the women's hockey team. They finished fourth at the Tokyo Olympics, but they've lost in the semi-final to China. And without scoring, they allowed the Chinese to score 3-4 goals against them. And I mean, it will now force them to qualify through other routes because the Asian Games gold medal would have ensured them a qualification to the Paris Olympics. Now that's not happening because they've lost, so they can still win a bronze medal maybe, but the qualification they'll have to earn through something else.
Right, and the games are ending on Sunday. So who are you looking forward to the most in the next 2 days?
Right. What am I looking most forward to in the next few days is, maybe Bajrang Punia, because he's not really competed almost since January. So this is his first big ticket event since the wrestling protest started at the start of this year. So Bajrang is somebody that we are all looking forward to see how he does, if he's regained that edge. Because, see, Bajrang is also one of those who's a Tokyo Olympics medalist. He has, I believe, at least 5 World Championship medals. So he's somebody who comes with a great pedigree. But now we need to see what that almost 1 year out of competition has done to him, whether he can regain that. So that is what I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I'm also looking forward to seeing whether India can get to that 100 overall medal and the 25 gold medal mark at the Asian Games. I mean, it will not change a lot in terms of where they end on the medals table possibly, because they are currently 4th. But Republic of Korea is way ahead with 33 gold medals. So even if they do win 25 gold medals, it's unlikely that they will move out of 4th place. But it would still be a very significant milestone for the Indian athletes at the Asian Games. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the next 2-3 days.
And next we talk about the Nobel Prize in Physics. Since the beginning of this week, the Nobel Committee has been announcing this year's laureates. So far, they have revealed the recipients in the fields of physics, medicine, chemistry, literature, and today they will finally confer the Peace Prize as well. In the upcoming episodes, we'll be talking about some of these winners on the podcast. And today we start with the 3 scientists who received the Nobel Prize in Physics.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has decided to award the 2023 Nobel Prize in Physics in equal shares to Pierre Agostini, The Ohio State University, USA; Ferenc Krauss, Max Planck Institute for Quantum Optik, Garching; and Ludwig Maximilians Universität München, Germany; and Anne Luer, Lund University, Sweden.
These 3 scientists were recognized by the committee this year for finding innovative ways to observe the movement of electrons.
Now, the reason why this was a big deal has to do with the sheer speed at which electrons move. When we spoke to the Indian Express's Amitabh Sinha, who writes on science and technology, he explained it to us by using the analogy of photography.
Now, you would have done photography and all. I do a little bit of photography. A lot of other people indulge in photography. And it's very common for us, for our experience, to end up with hazy photographs just because the subject was moving and we did not adjust for it. So nowadays, because most of the photographs are being taken by our mobile phones, in most of them, they adjust for the motion themselves.
But this was not the case with old single-lens reflex cameras. While using those, you had to adjust the speed of the shutter.
Supposing you want to capture a moving train, you would increase the shutter speed, which means the speed at which the shutter opens and then closes, allowing the amount of light to get in. You would increase that speed, and then at higher shutter speeds, you would get a much clearer picture. The haze would go, the blur would go.
The idea is that the speed of the camera's shutter needs to be faster than what you are trying to capture.
So it's the same thing here. The problem in photographing, for example, or problem in seeing an electron is that they are constantly moving. I mean, they're never stationary. Electrons are moving constantly. And to be able to sort of take an image, you need something which is moving faster.
Now, in everyday life, this is easier to do. We have cameras that can capture even a speeding bullet. But at the subatomic level, this task is much harder because atoms and electrons move exponentially faster. And so instead of cameras, scientists use short pulses of light to observe their movement.
So the setup-wise, it's very different from a camera, from a still camera or a moving camera. But the principle remains more or less the same. So they use very, very short pulses of light ranging in picoseconds and femtoseconds. Femtosecond is 10 to the power minus 15 and picoseconds is 10 to the power minus 12. Electrons actually move very, very fast. They are moving somewhere in the range of a few 1,000 kilometers per second. Of course, the entire movement is confined in a very, very small space inside the atom. But, the actual velocity of the electron cannot be very well known, but they move around in that range, in thousands of kilometers per second.
Amitabh says that scientists earlier had been able to capture movements of molecules and atoms, but going to the level of electrons was a challenge.
Because there is a limit to how much short pulses of light you can create. And that limit was, they found it that they couldn't go beyond a few femtosecond light pulses. They couldn't go beyond that there was a barrier. And that is where these three scientists working independently worked out ways, different innovative methods to go beyond the femtosecond barrier and reach what is known as attoseconds. Now, attosecond is 1 second would have 10 to the power minus 18 attoseconds. So it's that small an amount of time. And the Nobel Prize, the way it described it, and I think it's relevant, is that there are more attoseconds in 1 second than there are seconds since the evolution of the universe itself. So since the Big Bang, since in the 14 billion years that this universe has existed, the total number of seconds in this entire period would be less than the number of attoseconds in just 1 second. So it's that short a period of time.
And it was the generation of such short pulses of light that allowed them to observe the movement of electrons and which ultimately won the scientists this Nobel Prize. Now, talking about the reasons they wanted to do this and its possible implications, Amitabh says it is natural for scientists to try and observe every step of a process so they can fully understand it.
So that's a question of basic science, as in you want to see things happening. You want to know how things are happening. So, one, of course, thing is that it solves a basic science question, that things that you are not able to sort of see earlier, you are, and therefore you have a better understanding of how things are behaving at that scale. So that's completely a scientific question that was solved. The other thing, of course, you ask about the kind of applications, and like many other things, the applications probably do not seem very evident when the issue is being probed, but there are, lots and lots of applications of this particular thing, that has come up, from electronics to medicine, across different disciplines. Physicists use this technology, chemists use this technology, biologists use this technology. So across different fields, this technology has applications, including very important applications in the field of medicine. New scientists say these kind of things can be used in finding out, say, therapies for cancer, and a whole lot of other things. It's just one of the things that it is applied for.
And in the end, we talk about rats taking over Kolkata. 2 years ago, the officers at the Kolkata Municipal Corporation, or KMC, had a shocking revelation, or rather, a rodent revelation. They realized that the foundations of 2 flyovers in the city were sinking.
When they made an inspection, this colony of rats tunneling through the concrete.
That was the Indian Express's Ravik Bhattacharya, who reports on West Bengal for the paper. And he says that the problem is so severe that many people living or working under the city's bridges had to relocate. One of the affected individuals told Ravik that every day they could see parts of the bridge falling off. The KMC soon realized that the city had a rat problem and that they had to come up with a solution.
They used shards of glass and cement to reinforce the bases. But till now, it hasn't worked that well. So that was the start.
Now, Ravik says that Kolkata had a rat problem like any other city. In fact, whenever someone talked about rodents in Bengal's capital city, they would often refer to the rat menace near the Writers' Bridge, used to be the office of the Chief Minister. However, now the problem has spread to the entire city.
The city underground, the sewerage line, the cables underground, these are frequently damaged by the rats. It is also another major problem for government offices. For example, the state assembly. Bengal politics, as you know, is very polarized. But the rat menace seems to affect both the opposition and the ruling party MLAs inside the house. The rats have eaten the food of the leader of the opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari. Even the speaker himself has spoke with the speaker, Biman Banerjee. He himself stated that it was a major problem where rats are eating into papers, their documents, files. So that is how the assembly is getting affected.
And the KMC office, which is fighting the city's rat problem, has itself been severely affected by the rodents. The rodents had taken over their server room, chewing through wires and machines. And to stop them, the corporation installed a rodent machine which generates sound waves of a very high frequency and keeps rats away.
Now, we went to different neighborhoods, especially we went to Dhakuria Bridge, we went to AJC Bose Road flyover area. These 2 places house, apart from eateries, nearby slums, these also house offices like CBI and ED, these areas. We went there, we spoke to the residents. Now, it's paints a very grim creature. Now, people are accustomed to the rats, but now they're saying that the population is booming in Calcutta. 10 years, 20 years back, if they had spotted 2 or 3 rats near Dhakuria Bridge. Now they're saying that if you come in the evening, there's an army of rats moving around. They have to keep full brick on the food because the rats come inside and they tumble up these things and they steal the food. So whenever they're preparing the food, their utensils, they have to keep 1 or 2 solid bricks so that the rats don't tumble it up. So for Kolkata, it's a major problem as far as the authorities are concerned, what they're saying to us.
In fact, the situation has become so dire that the rats are now creating holes in footpaths, leading to people falling down and sustaining injuries. And Ravik says that the rodent problem also gets exacerbated by a lack of data regarding the number of rats that are gnawing through the city's bridges, footpaths, and wires.
When we were doing this story, when we were inquiring, we spoke to the mayor, we spoke to the speaker. The most important part of this problem is that there is no data. Nobody knows the rat population, the number of rats in the city. There has been no research made. There is no protocol for diseases like vector-borne diseases like dengue or malaria. There is a standard protocol of prevention, of treatment. But this problem of rodents, there is no standard protocol. There is no given practice of how to fight with the menace written in clear lines. There are no guidelines. And there has been no research done on the population behavior of the urban rats in Kolkata as well as its effect.
Now, other major cities like Mumbai and New York have had their fair share of a rodent menace. And Ravik tells us how New York dealt with its rat problem.
We contact New York Mayor's office. New York has been pushing this agenda of mitigation of rats for the past 20 months. They have invested quite a few billions of dollars there. They have made a special department to deal with these rats, an exclusive department, and they've appointed somebody called the Rat Czar, director of rat mitigation. Now, they are also changing the pattern of the garbage, the timings. They're changing the black New York, it's very popular, the black New York garbage bags into lidded containers so that the food source of the rat is cut down. And according to their data, they're telling us the rat sightings have dropped by 20% since last summer.
And he says that Mumbai has something called rat laborers, people who work in shifts to hunt down the rodents. And as of July this year, they had managed to kill 2.81 lakh rats.
But here in Kolkata, our mayor says that we can't kill the rats because one is that it will be very hard to dispose because most of them are underground. Second is that then there is a problem of plague. So killing the rats is a no. Then we spoke to a number of experts, sociology experts, zoology experts, who have a different approach towards this problem of rats. Now, one of the professors, Shilanjan Bhattacharya, he said that the main problem is pesticides or any other mechanism doesn't work against rats because they breed, their population gets a boom very frequently. What he said is that this is because the natural enemies like owls, snakes have gone in urban areas. Since its natural predators who survive on rats are not there, the rats are roaming freely and the food is available everywhere. No? You see street side vendors, to restaurants, the food supply is available. So there is no way to cut down the food supply. So on one way, Professor Bhattacharya indicated that on one solution can be to bring in those animals who feed on rats.
And another expert whom Ravik had spoken to suggested an ecologically and economically viable solution: removing harmful pathogens from urban rats and transforming them into feed for poultry. Either way, Ravik says that if the KMC does not take immediate action against the rats, it could lead to a significant public health concern.
The rat for a city like Kolkata is a low priority issue. Dengue, malaria is high priority. Drinking water is high priority. Garbage maybe is high priority. Roads are high priority. Now the authorities have thankfully woken up to the fact. They have realized that this menace is growing and in near future it will cause major disruption. Number one is this common disruption of underground cable lines, there's an economical drain. Number two is the population who may affect the normal human population living in the cities. They may get infected because the population is booming in such a way that in and around areas there are at least 8 to 9 wards which are severely affected in Kolkata, where there may be in near future a health hazard coming. Because now there has been no way found to stop this or to control the population of rats or limit them into areas. They are burrowing into concretes. They are burrowing into concrete pavements. The corporation is using glass shards. Even then, it's not working. The corporation is trying to put fine sand and glass in rat holes so that it disturbs the rat's eyes and lips and it gets deterred. But that is also not working till date. There is no data which suggests that somehow the rat population is being controlled in Kolkata.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited by Suresh Pawar. It was written and produced by Ucha Sadmin and Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do share it with your friends and family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcast or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.